All right, good morning, everyone. We are starting our next webinar number 2 with Pathway Inclusion Center. I'm Carrie Sherwood. I am one of the co-founders and board members at Pathway Inclusion Center. And today's webinar is centered around special education and IEP advocacy. And I am very happy to welcome our guest, Jennifer Kirby, this morning. Hi, Jennifer.
Hello.
Jennifer is from Bright Horizons Advocacy and Consulting out of Toledo, Ohio. And today we're going to be talking about special education and IEPs, 504s, and we'll go over all of that terminology in just a little bit. But first, we just want to tell all of you that we hope you are healthy and well and your families are healthy and well. Pathway currently remains to be temporarily closed due to COVID-19. And so hopefully this webinar will provide you with some much needed information and support during this time.
Yes,
all right.
Our goal for everybody is to keep providing services even if things are not officially open. Bright Horizons is open because we all work out of our homes. We didn't have an office closed. So we're all here available for you, and we're still working with Pathways, even though they don't officially have an open office right this second. But we all hope for the best as the summer goes on.
Yes, definitely. All right. So can you tell us a little bit about your organization and what types of services you all provide?
Okay, what Bright Horizons does specifically is provide advocacy for children and adults with disabilities. And it's a wide variety of advocacy that we do. 99% of it is probably special education related, meaning we help families and students with IEP and 504 issues. But there are some other things that we help with that people don't usually know about quite as often. If you have issues with your child being eligible for Board of DD services, we can help with that. We can help with youth transition guidance, planning for college, knowing how to apply for a job. We're looking into expanding our programming to help more with job and vocational planning. Not quite there yet, but it's a plan. We do help students out if they need help getting the right accommodations in college. We can help out with any questions you may have related to the Americans with Disabilities Act. And we also help out with Social Security applications. So kind of a little bit of everything. And if there's a disability related service that's not on that list that you or your family really needs, call us and we'll probably try and help you with it. And if it's really out of our realm, we'll try to send you in the right direction.
All right, awesome. Thank you. Sounds like you guys provide a lot of services for people that need it.
Yep.
All right.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about who we are at Bright Horizons. We are a nonprofit organization and we've been around since 2013. If I look familiar to some of you, I did used to work for the Ability Center for about 20 years. They had some funding issues back in 2013, and the decision was made that our services would go into a separate organization. So if any of you thought, well, gee, I used to work with Jennifer and then the Ability Center disappeared from Ottawa County, yes, it did, but I'm still here and I'm still available to help out with folks in Ottawa County and the surrounding area. One of the things that we really pride ourselves on for our organization, as far as, for lack of a better word, street cred, is 100% of our staff and board either have disabilities or relatives with disabilities or both. So we live the experience every day. We also have professional training, but we're coming at it from these are our lives just like it's your life. We're not other people coming in to fix things for people with disabilities.
All right. Oh, sorry. I went back a little too far.
It's okay. You were on. Wait,
okay.
There
so
it is.
Let's talk a little bit, in case some don't know, what is an IEP?
All righty. An An IEP, which probably a lot of your clientele already has, but it never hurts to go over it again. An IEP is a legal document. It's a plan for students with disabilities who require extensive services or modifications to benefit from the curriculum. And so what that might mean is your child might be learning at a level that it's a couple years below grade level, or might need extensive physical or occupational therapy to be able to work successfully in school, or might have significant emotional issues so that they can benefit from a smaller class. So basically, it's your kids that really, it doesn't mean if you're on an IEP, it certainly doesn't mean that you can't be in the general ed classroom. Special education law still says that our kids with disabilities are supposed to be in the general education classroom as much as is feasible for them. But IEPs are usually for kids who cannot handle the general education curriculum delivered in the manner that it would be for the other 27 students in the room. And in the state of Ohio, there are 13 different categories under which a child might be eligible for an IEP. Just so you know, if your child has a particular diagnosis, it doesn't automatically mean that he or she might qualify for an IEP. There's an evaluation process, which I didn't go into a whole lot for this set of slides, but as we go on and work with Pathway, we can certainly do one talking about that whole topic, because it's like a half an hour in itself.
Right.
But that is one of the issues that we help with as advocates, is navigating that whole process of, does my child need an IEP? Does my child need a 504? How do I ask for it? It's not just as simple as, look, my child has autism, now they have an IEP. Or look, the doctor wrote a script saying IEP. We actually have had doctors write scripts that say this child needs an IEP. That does not actually work with the school system. They take it into consideration, but it's not like they go out and write one the following week.
Yep. All right. And so I heard you mention 504. So
Yes.
Can you explain what the difference is between an IEP and a 504 plan?
Okay, so a 504 plan is also a legal document, and I stress this, and as you all get to know me in the audience, you'll hear me say this over and over. A 504 is still a legal document. There's a big rumor out there in the internet and parents advocacy world that an IEP is the real golden ticket and a 504 is just this little consolation prize. A 504 is a perfectly legal document. And actually, there are more kids eligible for it than there are for IEPs. Because what a 504 says is all you have to have is a disability that adversely impacts a major life activity. And then the school looks at that major life activity and determines what accommodations you might need for school. So these are all our kids who don't need, like, say, a different reading or math curriculum, but might need extra time in class, might need breaks, might need the opportunity to use sensory materials, might need the opportunity to tape things and listen back to them, or our kids with health needs like diabetes that need to take breaks from class and get their sugar checked, or need to be allowed to have medications with them as opposed to in the nurse's office. All of those kids, all of them fall under 504. So if you think about it, 504 is a big, huge inclusive umbrella, and then underneath it is the kids that qualify for IEPs. And anything that you need on a 504 as an accommodation, if a school district then decides that you need an IEP, those accommodations from your 504 would go right on your IEP. The IEP would just be expanded to offer other services as well. And the accommodations that would go on a 504 are the same types of accommodations that will carry your child through for college and for work and for all of those things. So
yeah,
if you
I think that's a really important point that a lot of people are not familiar with.
Yeah, if you think of an IEP as covering, well, not short, but a relatively short space of time, like from preschool through to the end of high school. And in Ohio, you can be on an IEP until age 22. Potentially, not all of our kiddos are. Some of them would hate to be in school till age 22, but some of our kids benefit from it. So if you think of an IEP as going that long, but once you transition out of high school, the types of accommodations that you might have had on your IEP or your 504 are the things that are going to carry through into the employment and college world. Of course, not all of them are going to be there, and things are going to look different, but a 504 and the ADA, which covers college and employment, have a lot of crossover. So if you get the idea of, well, you can't have this accommodation when you're an adult and you just need to learn to be able to cope, we all need to learn to develop skills as we move into adulthood and not be as dependent on certain things. But there are some kinds of accommodations that people might need for their entire lives, and that's okay.
Yeah. And those are federally protected under
Yep.
these laws. So let's go ahead and go to our next slide. So many families and schools right now are navigating through virtual instruction. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit about what does COVID-19 mean for students with disabilities.
Alrighty, and bear with us because this is kind of a moving target topic because
Yes.
as this goes on longer and longer, the states and the federal government are trying to figure out more and more what to do. But in general, districts are not held to as tight a standard, but they do have to try, which means that we cannot go and file a complaint with the state if your child did not get absolutely every minute of service to which they were entitled on their IEP while COVID is going on. So don't be thinking in those terms. We have had people ask us that. But the flip side of that is that schools cannot go, gee, it's COVID, there's nothing we can do. We're not taking data. We're not measuring anything. We're not contacting your student. See you next year. There's what the federal guidance and the state guidance basically say is that everybody has to make a good faith effort to do what they can, which means if your district is using technology should be accessible to your students. So if there's something that's on there that's designed for students who can see and your child has a visual impairment, the teacher still needs to make arrangements to do something like read it to your child or make sure that the screen reader is working on the technology they have. If your child does not have adequate technology at home to access the resources, your school district needs to be trying to get that technology. Here in Toledo, a lot of our urban districts are slowly but surely working toward getting technology to the students who need it. At the smaller districts, from what I've heard so far, it's been a little easier, and I'm not sure. Carrie, do you know what folks have been working on? Has Pathways heard what any of our districts out in your area have been doing as regards that so far? Has that come
I
up at all?
have not heard as far as Port Clinton. My kids are in Ann Arbor School District, and I know they're distributing laptops to the kids that need them, as well as providing like Wi-Fi hotspots so that they can have
Yeah,
internet access too. So I think
that's a
it
lot.
kind of just depends on what the students need and what the school district has to offer.
Yeah, that's a lot of what districts here in Toledo are working on as well.
Mhm.
And so that's one to just be aware of. If you are in the Ottawa County area and you're having difficulty with that, reach out to us because we do have good working relationships with all the special ed directors in Ottawa County. So if there's something that your child needs that they're not getting, this would be an opportunity where we might be able to assist you. You're certainly welcome to call your special ed director on your own, We always encourage that, but if you're not aware of who those people are and you've not touched base with them much before, and you'd rather have somebody else kind of make that inquiry and say, hey, my child really needs this, we'd be more than happy to do that for you. One of the other things is that your teachers should be making an effort to reach out to your students and work with them. Different districts have different rules on how much they're expecting teachers to reach out. The rule of thumb I'm kind of hearing is that they like all teachers to touch base with students at least once every week, if not twice, via email or video call or a call with the parents or something. So again, if that's not going on and all you've got is a packet at home and you're thinking, good heavens, what do I do with this? Let us know, because then we can get hooked up with your special ed director, because the special ed directors are well aware that there's supposed to be a good faith effort going on. And good faith effort does not mean that you send home a packet and go, good luck with that. So team meetings also should still be happening, as you
And by
all
team meetings, you
know,
mean like IEP
like
team or
IEP
504
meetings.
team?
Yeah, and as a lot of your folks know, a lot of these generally take place in the spring, and I think a lot of them got delayed in that mid section of March to the beginning of April, because there were still a lot of people who thought we were coming back to school. Whether that was realistic, I won't say, but I think a lot of people were just treating it like an extended spring break, so they didn't really look at scheduling things. But IEPs still do expire and you still do need to meet. But again, that means there should be a meeting format that works for you as a parent, be it a conference call or a Zoom meeting or a Google Hangout or something. I realize not all parents have access to video, but as an advocate on learning to use this format just in the last month, I would highly recommend some form of video format, because it still allows you to see each other and interact, and also see the document on the screen and be able to follow along. It's pretty much as good as being there without having to worry about the germs and the mileage. So I would really encourage that people, if you've just been sent home a copy of an IEP with a note that says, here, sign this, we can't meet. No, you need to meet, and it needs to be in a format that works for you.
Absolutely. All right. And so before we move on to this next slide, I just wanted to bring up, I'm sure you saw the announcement last week that the Department of Education is not going to ask Congress to pass any additional waivers, and that schools must continue to educate all students during this time. So do you want to elaborate on that any further than you already have about what that means for students
I
on
think
IEP?
I think really what that means, and this is something for us all to keep in mind in the long term as we watch this process go, because to be honest, none of us even knows what summer or fall is going to look like. And it's looking like as our kiddos move back to school, it might be a more hybrid thing of shortened school days or staggered school days and partial online learning. So I think we'll all be learning as we go along. But the big basic message from the federal government is that IEPs and learning for our typical kids and our kids with disabilities does not stop just because we're in a COVID situation. And I hate to think this, but I think where it came from is a lot of school districts were like, well, we just can't do kids with disabilities in the online format, so we'll figure them out later. And that's actually one of the first things that special education laws came from back in the 1970s, is school districts are like, well, we can do everybody but not them. So it's hard to believe, but there are a lot of kids even as late as the 50s and 60s, if they just had a disability, the only way they went to school was at home. One of the gentlemen I first met when I first worked out in Port Clinton, almost 15 years ago, was about 15 years older than me, and his entire school life had been through a home tutor. And he was a perfectly intelligent, perfectly articulate man. He just happened to have a physical disability, and the Port Clinton schools had stairs, and it was the 50s. So, you know, you didn't go out. And I think what everybody's trying to avoid is making sure that kids with disabilities don't get lost in the whole new online learning, because there are ways that our kids with disabilities aren't going to be able to adapt as well. So the message is that school districts have to learn to adapt, and their mandate is still to serve everybody. They can't pick and choose and say, well, this we can do, this we
Right.
can't do. And also, even as we come back to school, a lot of our kids have underlying conditions and immunosuppressant issues. So we're going to need to look at, even if school is open, it might not be a viable choice for your student. So
Yeah.
again, the school district's going to have to figure out how to do that. They can't just say to you, well, everybody else is back now.
Right. Right. Yeah. All right. So you are a wealth of information, and I think you are a great advocate for individuals with disabilities and their families. So if families want to work with you, how do they get in touch with Bright Horizons?
Okay, it's really easy. You can call us 419-491-0500, or you can call or text us at 567-218-0943. Our website is brighthorizonsadvcon.com. Sorry about the long website name. A lot of people had taken Bright Horizons when I picked the name of my company.
And I can add all this
Yep,
below in the comments.
that would be great. And our Facebook page is Bright Horizons Advocacy. Please check that out. We try and post a lot of good info on there, and a lot of resources. So again, certainly as things go along, as Pathway, we hope, starts to have activities again, we'll be putting those up there. And hopefully, Carrie, can you see that we can get this Zoom thing a link so that we can post it on both of our Facebook pages?
Yeah, of course. Yep.
Okay, that'll be great. So that'll be here too. Generally, our work hours are from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. But as I said, we work from home. So if you happen to leave us a message earlier or later than that, and we're not in the middle of something, somebody will try and get back to you. A thing to let people know, we are a very, very small agency. We have me as a part-time person, and then four other part-time people. I had to think there for a minute because I have a couple of people in the works. And we have a budget that's very, very small. So we do charge for our services on a sliding fee scale. But at the moment, we are very blessed to have a collaborative grant from the Autism Provider Network to work with Pathway. So any kiddo that has autism, or I'm taking the liberty of, it's highly likely that they have autism, because as you all know, there are some of our kids out there that aren't quite to the diagnosis stage, but we think they have autism. Those kids in Ottawa County and the immediate Pathways surrounding area, we are able to serve at no cost to you for hopefully the next year or so. We're not quite sure how that's going to work, because COVID has sort of thrown off all of the typical deadlines we would have. So that is a service we're very excited to offer to Ottawa County and the surrounding area, because we know it's been a barrier in the past because we charge for our travel time. And if it were up to us, we wouldn't necessarily do that. But again, we're a very small organization, and we do need to actually pay our staff. So I felt badly the last couple of years that we haven't gotten a lot of Ottawa County calls because people don't want to pay us to come from Toledo, but I'm hoping that this will remove some of those barriers.
Yeah, thank you to Autism Provider Network of Northwest Ohio. And I'm assuming you would be able or willing to meet with families virtually during this
Oh,
time
oh
as
yeah,
well.
absolutely. We will be working out ways to do virtual office hours, and then when Pathway opens back up, we'll probably look at a schedule of doing regular office hours out there so that we're able to meet with people. So
Awesome.
we'll make it work virtually until we're allowed to meet with people in person, and then after that, what we've always said here in Toledo is that we'll meet wherever it's convenient for you, a library, a coffee shop, Pathway, wherever.
And just so families know, I'm assuming they could also contact you to be a guest at their child's IEP meeting, whether it's a virtual meeting or a conference call IEP meeting, to serve as an advocate in that role also.
Oh, certainly. That's
Yeah.
really a lot of what we do.
Yeah.
When we do webinars like this, it's to provide the information, but we are available to assist you by going to the meetings, by corresponding with the school district, by helping. We can help draft state complaints and due process complaints. That's another sort of rumor that's out there on the internet, that only attorneys can help you do complaints. That's not actually true. A lot of them, a parent can do themselves, but as an
Right.
advocate, I would really advise to get at least an advocate to help you in terms of formatting and what you want to include. So you don't necessarily need to have an attorney to assist you with special education work. But at Bright Horizons, we're lucky in that we have working relationships with several attorneys in that. So if we do file a due process and it gets to a point where somebody would need an attorney, because there are certain things that we're not allowed to do as advocates because it's unauthorized practice of law, we have attorneys that are more than willing to work with us and families. And a lot of times what they'll do is they'll let us do a lot of the heavy lifting, so to speak, so that the families get charged for a lot of the work at the sliding fee scale rate instead of the attorney rate. But that's all on a case-by-case basis, but we just want to let people know that
Awesome.
flexibility is out there.
All right, perfect. All right, so thank you so much for joining me today. I think this provided a lot of useful information for families. We do have some more webinars coming up, so be on the lookout for those on our Facebook page. And as Jennifer mentioned, this presentation was made possible thanks to a grant from the Autism Provider Network of Northwest Ohio. And I will provide the contact information to Bright Horizons in the comments under this video. And we hope you guys continue to stay healthy and continue to light the way for all abilities. And thanks for joining us, Jennifer.
Thank you.
All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.